Guys, today we're going to talk about H corporations and how to be able to get them funding. Now, guys, my name is Eduardo Soto and I help entrepreneurs understand their personal credit and the business credit and be able to get their first $50,000 to $300,000 to be able to scale and grow their business. So, guys, the reason why I'm making this presentation is because about 2 years ago, I ended up buying an H corporation. And when I first started, it was all about the PPP. It was middle of a coronavirus. And everyone all heard about the PPPs and getting all this money. And I knew with H corporations, you can get a lot of funding. So initially, I went in with the whole PPP idea. You're going to get $500,000. You're going to get $1 million. Well, that was a big bust, right? But what did happen is that I ended up meeting a lot of entrepreneurs that had got this same H corporations, right? So the first thing that I did, which is probably something that you might be doing, is finding out about H corporations. The first thing you do, you go to YouTube, you start finding H corporation. Now, this is what happened to me, guys. When I first started looking into a lot of H corporations, how to be able to get these funded, because I got no consulting, absolutely nothing. I just got a piece of paper with a certificate of good standing, and I had a 33-year-old company, which is right here. Hey, you guys will see here. November 13 is when I actually got the company. Now, I had no clue how to be able to get it funded, and that's probably why you're here. So I want to break out a lot of these misconceptions of H corporations, what they are, how you can utilize them, because I know that is going to serve you. So, guys, when I first got it, I had no clue what the hell to do, right? So you might be in the same position. I started looking into YouTube. I was honestly more confused by the time that I left YouTube, because it was like, no, they're really good. No, they're illegal. No, they're bad. No, they're good. So there was such a opposite end of the spectrum, opinions, right? That I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go do it myself. So my goal for this video is for you guys to get an understanding of what are H corporations, how you can utilize them, what is mergers and acquisition, and how to get into the more high level things, but like mergers and acquisition. But for this specific video, I'm going to explain to you guys the benefits, the pros and cons on H corporation and how you can utilize them. So guys, what you see here is a certificate of good standing that I initially got when I got my first H corporation. And as you guys see, I did post this on Instagram about 2 years ago, almost a year and a half, because I didn't want other people to go and pay $10,000 and have no clue what to do with this corporation. So that's why I'm doing this video. So guys, I just want to give you guys an overall perspective of certain concepts and what they are. So mergers and acquisition, this is more of an advanced topic, but it's good to get an understanding of what is mergers and acquisition. Now, in corporate finance, merger, M&A, what is called mergers and acquisition, are transactions in which the ownership of companies, other businesses, organizations, or their operating units are transferred or consolidated with their entities. Now, when you think about what Elon Musk just did with buying Twitter, that is mergers and acquisition. He bought a portion of this massive, massive company. Now, obviously, we're not doing this just yet, but for your guys' knowledge, this is what it is, because I get a lot of questions about this. Now, acquisitions, which is really kind of what we're doing here, guys, in a low level, right? So the acquisition or takeover is a purchase of one business or company by another company or other business entity. Now, this doesn't need to be a business entity. It could be a person, right? So you as a person can go and acquire a business, and it's no different than actually starting a business, right? So what I do now is that instead of actually registering brand new businesses, I go out to the marketplace and I acquire H corporations, which are a lot beneficial when it comes to funding. And we're going to get a little bit into it as we go. Now, what is an H corporation, guys and gals? Now, an H corporation is any company that has been registered anywhere for 5 to 100 years. It could also be 2-3 years. Me personally, I don't get absolutely anything that is less than 5 years old. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the tiers of the banking system, which I actually don't have in the slides, but I am going to explain it to you guys of what it is. Now, when we go out to the marketplace, guys, we go out and we find inactive companies. Now, these are companies, you might be in a position, you registered a company and you never really did anything with it, right? So it goes pretty much, it could have been operational or they just stopped paying the filing fees. So what we do is that we go out to the marketplace, we look in the Secretary of State and we find these businesses. We reach out to the registered owners or registered agent, what it would be called in the Secretary of State, and we go in and acquire these companies. Now, guys, there is a lot of people want to actually go out and get companies that have lines of credit, that have taxes, that have all this stuff. That comes more into a mergers and acquisition side. And unless you're pretty experienced and you have a legal and an accounting team, I don't suggest for starting people to just go out and try to find these companies. Because what can happen is that you're going to go and acquire a company that might be 5-10 years, but it might have liabilities, it might have a bad tax or anything like that. And the perfect analogy usually that I explain is like, think about you going and buying a house. If you're a real estate investor or real estate investors, if they go in and they buy a house without doing any inspection, without doing any due diligence, without really knowing what if there's bad taxes or there's something, maybe structural damage. So that's the same thing that you got to look at these corporations. There has to be due diligence. Now, when we go and acquire these corporations, we do the due diligence. However, one of the things that we do is that we go in, we talk to the registered owner and everything like that, and then we go in and we actually start a brand new EIN number, right? By starting a brand new EIN number, we're guaranteeing ourselves that we're not going to have anything negative that might have been in the past. So for this video specifically, we're specifically looking for companies that are old. We're going to do the due diligence, but we are pretty much acquiring the age of the company, right? Now we're going to get a little bit into the benefits of these companies, right? So you also can go out, guys, like I say, I was talking about what Elon Musk does. This is full mergers and acquisitions, guys. I've talked to people that have invested $50,000 to go buy a company that has $6 million in lines of credit, right? Now, they did have a legal team and an accounting team. So if you're in that position and that's what you're looking to do, it's definitely a good space to be in, right? So another thing is that we want to make sure that these companies have no liabilities, right? So with my team, we do all the back end research and the due diligence, and all the H corporations that now we provide, they have 100% due diligence, and we make sure that everything's clean. Now, guys, the reason why I actually started learning about this H corporation is because I didn't know what to do with my company, right? I'm like, I got this 33-year-old company that now I don't know exactly how to be able to utilize it or get it funded. Now, guys, what is a shell corporation? Now, a shell corporation, you got to think about it like a holding company. I explained this to a lot of my students. So a shell corporation is like, it's a company that is established to buy other companies or registers other companies. Now, what this is, like, think about like a shell, like an umbrella, right? The reason why people register this is like, for example, when you think about trusts, or you like talk about like a holding company, what it does is just a non-operational company that is meant to be there to be able to protect you, right? So just teaching you the difference between shell corporations and H corporation. Now, guys, what is a shelf corporation? Now, this is another thing that anybody can actually do. Now, you can go out to the marketplace and actually register a company. And this is something that, again, like I teach a lot of people, is how to be able to build your business credit. You can literally flip these companies the same way that people flip real estate, like wholesaling. You can go out to register a company, right? You can build the credit and then sell it. However, a shelf corporation is a company that was literally registered and put at a shelf, right? So it won't have any business credit. It won't have any Paydex, Paynet, Experian, SBFE, which are like what measures your credit score on the business side, right? So that's exactly what a shelf corporation is. Now, guys, let's get a little bit into like why funding with H corporation is good and why they are so valuable, right? So the way that I always explain it to people is like when you go to Instagram, for example, and you see that someone that is verified, that has 500,000 followers, that has 1 million followers, it's automatic credibility, right? The banks work in a little bit of a similar way. The older your company is, the more credibility that you're going to have. And statistically, companies that are 5 years or older, the older they are, the less they're going to fail, right? Just statistically wise. So the reason why we want these companies is because it gives you more credibility with the bank itself, especially when they are set up the right way, right? So you increase the ability to get funding. I have a lot of students that they were getting like $8,000 to $12,000 credit cards just on the utilizing their personal side, but without H corporation. They went and got H corporations and they were getting $40,000 to $50,000. So if you're someone that is just starting your entrepreneurship journey, or you're a small business owner and you want to get more funding, this is a great strategy to be able to go and get more funding. Now, this is more if you also have a little bit more resources to go and invest in these companies where they're gonna just give you more results, right? But if you're just starting, if you're just bootstrapping it, I would definitely suggest just start with a brand new company and just kind of build it up from there, right? So it just overall just easier to get business credit, and it takes time out of the equation, guys. I'm gonna if we look at this one of the next slides. One of the main things with banks is that they want a minimum of 2 years in business and 2 million revenue to do no personal guarantee, right? So this kind of takes time out of the equation. Now, again, if you're starting out, if you're a brand new entrepreneur, having 50, 100, 150, $200,000 is going to make your life a lot easier, because you're going to have some money for resources, whether it's for virtual assistants, whether you're hiring videographers, whether you're hiring people, maybe design, product, whatever the case might be. Even people that are in the real estate area, they can actually register each company, each flip or wholesale under, well, not necessarily wholesaling, but each deal under a different corporation, which is a strategy that a lot of real estate investors use, right? So banks like to see companies that are established. And again, guys, you can flip these companies the same way that you would flip a real estate. And this comes down to really knowing how to set up all the business itself. Again, with the 1-800 number, with the virtual address, the 411, and I'm doing all these things so that your company looks like a legitimate company, that when you go get it funded, it looks like it's legitimate. You actually have products and services that you're providing out to the marketplace. Now, another advantage is that with like corporate contracts, a lot of government corporate contracts, they require a minimum of 3 to 5 years in business, right? So utilizing this H corporations has a lot of advantages. So this is something that you should consider if that's what you if you want to get more funding, pretty much, right? So again, going to I came up with this 2-2 rule, right? Which is 2 years in business and $2 or $3 million in revenue, depending on the banks, right? In order to do no personal guarantee. Now, once you're able to take the time out of the equation, you still need good personal credit, right? So some of the, why you would fund with H Corporation, you're going to be able to get more lines of credit. Even if you've applied for any type of business loans, they ask you whether your company is over 2 years old or under 2 years old, right? So if you guys know about business credit, there's different tiers. Banks have the same thing, right? Like if there's tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, right? So if you're in tier 1, your company is 1 to 4 years old. If you're on tier 2, your company is 5 to 9 years old. And tier 3 is when your company is 10 years plus, right? So this just shows you, and this comes from information that I've acquired just talking to a lot of business bankers, since I build a lot of relationships, and you guys should too. Make sure that you're building that relationship with your banks. Guys, banks are no different than any relationship that you have nowadays, right? The more business that you do with them, the more that they're going to be willing to work with you, right? So one of the main things that I do suggest everybody do, just go into the branch, go start making these relationships where you can humanize it, and people are going to be like, it's just going to make it a lot easier for you to go apply, whether it's lines of credit, whether it's credit cards, whether it's loans, regardless of what you're looking for. It's going to make your life a lot easier when there's a person behind your application that is going to be able to help you do what you're trying to accomplish, right? So again, flip that deposit relationship. I talk a lot about this. A lot of us have this deposit relationship. Just guys, you need to realize that the banks actually need you in order for them to have a business, right? So when you flip that relationship, like the bank needs you, is like you're gonna go interview the banks. I do this quite often. I go and ask them what type of products or services they have, what type of, let's say, unsecured lines of credit, what's the maximum on the credit cards that they would give, unsecured. And when I gather the information, I decide whether they're going to be a good fit for me or not. I try to go with banks that are not asking me for 2 or 3 years of tax return, because it just gets more complicated every time that you're going to go in and ask for an application. So I try to stay away from those banks. Now, guys, this is a company that I actually registered. This was a company that I registered last year. You can see I've kind of taken the file number and registered agent, but this is a company, H Corporation. You can see here, it's 2012, where it was originally registered, and then I went and renewed it on what is it? Just before. Oh no, that's the renewal date. Sorry, never mind. So that's just the renewal date. So you guys can see that it's an active company. It's in good standing. You are going, regardless of what state you're going to get it. I do a lot of Minnesota companies. I know some people do Colorado, Florida. There's a lot of ways to kind of do it. The ones that I mainly do, they're from Minnesota. So you do need a virtual address in Minnesota. For example, I live in Florida, in Miami. So my registered address, in my state is going to be in Florida. You want to make sure that the CEO and the principal executive office address, this one, is the same, right? So you're not going to run into any problems when it comes to funding, right? Now, guys, this is something that I explain people a lot. Like, you need to have good personal credit. A lot of people think that they're just going to acquire a company that is 20 years old and they're randomly going to go into the marketplace and just get $500,000 without no revenue, without any guarantees or anything like that. Now, let me ask you this question. If I just met you today and you're like, Eduardo, you're a really cool guy and everything, but I asked you for $10,000, would you give it to me? Probably not. But if we've had a relationship for about 5 years where I can see we made some money together and, you know, like we built businesses or like done a lot of things together, and I asked you, I'm like, hey, could you borrow me $10,000 for the next 6 months? I'll pay you back. You're more likely to do it. So banks are no different, guys. They need to see that you have a good track record. Therefore, your personal credit, especially at the beginning, is going to be a catalyst. And I explained this a lot. You need to have good personal credit, especially if you're looking to go into an H corporation and get it funded. So this is where I built this ladder to really explain what are the things that you can do and what you should consider even before getting an H corporation. Because if you're someone that has 600 credit score and you have some derogatories, the first thing that you need to do is go and get your credit fixed. Because most banks are not going to give you money on a corporation that has no history, has no revenue, and you don't have like absolutely anything, right? They're going to look at your personal credit. So if we go over here, guys, the main thing is going to be personal credit, right? Then you're going to acquire the H corporation. Whether you decide to get it from us or you go and get it somewhere else, make sure that you get it from someone that is trustworthy, that have some kind of a reputation and credibility, and they've done this a few times. What happens also, guys, that a lot of companies that get actually posted online, banks are very, very intelligent. Like, they have a lot of algorithms. So a lot of these companies that get fully posted on websites, they can get red flagged. And I've seen cases where people buy these companies, and because they've been posted, they've been red flagged by the banks. So just be careful with this, right? You're going to go and acquire your H corporation, 5, 10, 15, 20 years old, whatever it might be. Then you want to get your business set up. When I say the business setup is I'm going to make a full other video about this, and you can even YouTube it on, I'm going to put another video. I'm making another video of exactly how to be able to set up your business properly. But I know there's tons out there. But you want that 1-800 number. You want that virtual address. You want to make sure that it's listed on 411. You want to make sure that your company looks legitimate. This is going to be the same whether you decide to open a brand new company or you get an H corporation. Regardless of how you're going to do it, this is something that you should definitely do. Now, I personally decided to skip this whole step, which is the net 30s, building business credit. Now, you go into a net 30s, you need a minimum of 5 accounts reporting to your company in order to build that business credit. However, if you have over 750 credit score, you can skip this whole step. And guys, I just read a lot about net 30s give you baby money. So I wanted to either prove it or bust it, right? I had, when I got the $693,000, which I'm going to show you here on the next slide, I had 770, it was 760, 775 credit score along the 3 credit bureaus. So I was able to do this and I was successfully able to get these funded. So if you have really good credit, you can just go straight for funding. Now, this is also optional, guys. There's a lot of business trade lines. So the same way that a lot of people add authorized users into your personal credit to give you that age, to give you increased like age on your whole credit, or give you like high lines of credit, you can do the same exact thing with business trade lines. Now, I do provide these too, but they are a little pricey, right? So I'm just gonna warn you, you can be spending anywhere from $5,000 to $30,000 on this business trade lines. So a lot of people do get them because they want to get these big loans. So they're willing to put the money in and buy them to guarantee themselves that they're gonna get increased funding, to put it that way. It's the same way that if you have, let's say, $100,000 loan on your personal credit, that shows us paid, right? The banks now that you've been responsible enough to take $100,000 and then give them back. And then finally, we're gonna have a revenue. Guys, the whole point of even getting business loans or business credit is to build an actual business that is revenuing, right? You want to take money out of the bank and start becoming your own bank, to whether it's put it on real estate, put it on Airbnb, do Turo, just build your own brand, put it into marketing. You want to put this money somewhere where it's going to give you some type of return. So the whole point even of these H corporations, even if you're doing e-commerce, for example, a lot of e-commerce, the money will start coming in, and then in the long run, once you have 6 months or a year down the road, you have the financials, you have the revenue, and then you can utilize that and leverage that to be able to go out to the banks and get even more money, because that's how you're going to be able to scale and grow your business. Now, I just want to show you guys here this last slide. This was the actual funding results that I got. And I was able to do this in 3 days, guys. Now, there is a lot of strategy to be able to do this, guys. I did wait a little bit to make sure that my credit profile was optimal, that everything was good. Now, guys, taking in consideration that I'm an immigrant, I've only had credit in the States for like 2.5 years, right? So I've been able to do this because I knew exactly the step-by-step on how to be able to set up my personal credit to be able to get these, and how to set up the H corporations. So as you guys can see, I got $692,000 and $800 here. There's a lot of that's a lot of funding, whether it's credit card 0%. It was a variety of a lot of credit cards and loans that I was able to acquire with this, and it was utilizing H corporations. So you can do the same exact thing. However, there's a process to it. Now, that's pretty much the end of this slide, guys. Now, I really wanted to show you about the H corporation, how you can utilize them and how you can leverage them. If you guys have any questions regarding H corporation, or if there's another video that you'd like me to do, just comment below and I will just go in and make another video about that. Now, if you're going and you want to talk a little bit more about getting an H corporation from me and my team, I'm going to put also a LinkedIn. Please make sure that you've seen this video, and I'm going to put a link so that you can book a call with us and make sure that you're ready to move forward. Again, taking consideration that if you don't have good credit, the first step is going to be to get your credit repair, which I don't do credit repair, but I do have a referral partner where he does an amazing job. So hope you guys got some value out of this, and please go like and subscribe on this channel, guys. And I will be making a lot more videos to give you guys value and to teach you how to be able to leverage business credit for yourself and everyone around you. Hope you have the best day, and today's the best day of your life, baby. Let's go.